Can ChatGPT be an effective therapist?
There's no mediator here.
ChatGPT told me I might need to change the tone of my voice.
I need to know what to do because I'm feeling like I'm desperate. Okay, this is interesting.
Where some people may not completely open up because the trust isn't built there.
Then she's ticked off because she didn't get the answer she wanted.
Is it perfect? No. You need a mindfulness approach. It's going to be able to walk you through that. The human therapist, when they see a patient in a place where they're not processing because of the distress, they're not ever going to let them be alone.
Yeah, I need validation.
Is something like this
a good alternative? It is a great tool. I thought it's been.
Can it totally replace a therapist?
Hey there, welcome to the Mental Perk podcast. I'm Karla Hutcherson, licensed professional counselor.
And I'm Brandi Mock, entrepreneur, author, and community leader. And we're here to talk about real people, real issues, and real talk.
Welcome back to the Mental Perk. We are so excited to be here, and we want to first kind of talk about an upcoming event before we get into our topic of the show today.
Yes, ladies. And I say ladies. We love you men, but it's
night and the feeling's right. Oh, yes, it's ladies' night. Oh, what a night.
Okay. So, anyhow, this is going to be a class that is going to be amazing. It's a day of shooting, of self-defense, physical self-defense, and mental health resilience. And
mental health resilience.
It's going to be amazing.
So fun.
Yeah.
Ladies, sign up. It's going to be a great day. It's starting from morning till night. We're going to have lunch together. We have some amazing trainers that are going to do such a great job, not only teaching us gun safety and how to shoot and personal safety, they're going to do self-defense. We're going to have some mental resilient stuff that's going to just set us up, and we're all going to walk around there, away from there feeling so confident and secure.
Yep. And so I did have, interestingly, I had someone ask me, she's like, well, I don't like to shoot a gun. And I'm like, well, here's the deal. It's okay if you don't like to shoot a gun, but it's always good to go there and practice shooting a gun.
Yes.
And then on top of that, the physical defense they're going to teach us is going to be really cool, because let's say you don't want to carry a gun. These guys are going to give us alternative tools to use to defend ourselves, whether it's your own body or it's something just sitting around. It could be anything, but these guys are professionals and they know what they're doing. And so that's what's so exciting about it, because these guys are ready to get us prepared. And then the mental health part of it. So I'm so excited about that part too, because that all plays in with what we're going to be doing that day.
And even if you don't like guns necessarily, this isn't going to be like a small environment. You're going to be kind of on a shooting range. It's going to be super fun and get all your aggression out.
Yeah. And it's a small group. And that's what's so cool about it, because like you said, it's going to feel like it's very one-on-one. And so what you're paying for is well worth the money, because it's going to be, from 9 in the morning until about 6:30 in the afternoon or evening. And it's going to be a full day of just being able to get more confidence.
It is.
Yeah.
I think it's just, and trying something that you don't necessarily like or feel comfortable with, it sometimes shows you, hey, maybe this is something I can do.
Yeah, you may change your mind.
It's a challenge that just makes me feel like, it's not something I'm going to do every day, but I challenged myself to do something I'm not comfortable with, and that feels really good.
Well, and then, on top of that, a lot of people are like, well, I get intimidated. I don't feel comfortable. Here's the deal. This class is for beginners. Yeah. It's for beginners, and even if you're not a beginner and you're more advanced, that's fine. We've got trainers that can shoot with you in a more advanced style and have the beginners on the other. So don't get intimidated by that, because a lot of this is everybody's coming in at the same time to learn something. It's all about learning.
Definitely. So please join us. It's going to be super, super fun. It's just be a fun day of just being with women and being empowered by women.
Yes.
It's going to be super motivating.
Love it.
So come and join us. We're going to be out there. Well, getting into our topic today, so my husband and I were watching the news the other day, and just so funny, and this thing came up where this couple had, we're talking about, it was in the New York Post, and they were talking about how their relationship had been saved by using ChatGPT as a counselor. So this is something that they have been in counseling before, and that, ChatGPT just kind of made a difference in how they were solving problems in their relationship. So I thought, what a fun way of bringing in the topic of AI and having a discussion on this situation. And so I did some research, and it's super fun because it kind of shows, we've had AI on our show before, a guy who specializes in AI, and he said, you either accept it and deal with it or you're going to be left behind.
Yeah.
And so I've been challenging myself a little bit in that area and how to bring in AI to my own practice.
Yes.
And so I have downloaded an app that helps me with my notes, my organization. Like I can just like talk in about my, the session, and it writes up my note for me. Now, is it perfect? No. I have to go back through and kind of make sure that it's accurate, make sure that it's saying it in the way that I would say it, and that we're really kind of putting in correct details. And sometimes I might have to, fix it. But what it did help me with is what used to take me 20 to 30 minutes, I could get done in 3 or 4 minutes.
Yeah. Well, so, and that's it's, I think in those aspects, it's definitely a benefit, right?
It has been a benefit.
But you still have to watch what's going on. You still have to make sure that everything that's being said aligns with how you feel.
Correct. And also has to be HIPAA compliant. And this platform that I downloaded definitely is HIPAA compliant.
Okay.
That's one of the things that it was, and once it's in there, you can erase it. Because what I did is I put it in there and then I put it into my HIPAA compliant platform that I use on my computer, and so then I just erase it.
Okay.
So that part was really good, and actually the owner of the platform or the designer of the platform or the app that I bought, he actually called me.
Really?
And he said, "Hey, I saw you just downloaded or that you were using this app. I wanted to know what you thought about it as a therapist." And I was like, I kind of like it. So he wanted to get my opinion on it.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
So back to the story of the New York Post. So this this couple, they're in their like early 30s, I guess.
Okay.
And they were just talking about how ChatGPT kind of served as a referee for them. Like when they're having a discussion or an argument, they'll put it into ChatGPT, and ChatGPT will give them some communication tools or help them kind of go through some solutions on what they could do to solve this dispute, as you would call it. And they either would laugh at what they were saying and then the fight would like take a lighter note, or they would take the advice. Like I think at one point ChatGPT told them to open their relationship to other people. And so in that moment they were like, well, that's a little crazy, but it made them laugh. So then they stopped, the dispute was better. But I was just like...
Well, yeah, because they're like, well, that's totally not aligning with our beliefs here.
Yes, and so they thought that was funny. But yeah, it's not something that they were taking for granted. But anyway, they have the, I guess, more advanced subscription. I guess it's $20 a month to have the...
We have that?
I just have the free one. Do you?
No, I've got the
advanced. You got the $20 one? Okay,
yeah.
Well, I might need to upgrade my subscription.
Yeah.
Yeah. But so I started, it just kind of intrigued me that, can ChatGPT be an effective therapist?
I'm going to say no. And the reason why I say that, it's based on what you put in there.
Correct.
So let's say husband's ticked off at wife.
Yes.
And he's like, I don't like the way my wife does this. Well, guess what? ChatGPT is going to say, okay, well, let me give you what I think about that.
Yes.
But there's no mediator here. It's based on what you put in there.
And what people have found out, because then I went and did some more research and I saw other couples doing the same thing. They said that ChatGPT usually comes back kind of neutral, or it'll take the side of the other person even and make you see their perspective. So, like, I think one couple was talking about, well, the lady says, yeah, I tend to kind of say things mean or sarcastic to my husband. And so when I put that in ChatGPT, ChatGPT told me I might need to change the tone of my voice or whatever. So it kind of took the side of the husband. Okay. So that kind of came back funny.
Well, but then she's ticked off because she didn't get the answer she wanted.
Yes.
So you can literally type in there, don't like your answer, give me another one, and it'll come up with something
else.
Yeah.
So is it perfect? No, and it's only going to be as good as the information that's inputted into the algorithm, right? Yeah. So it's really weird to think of how all of this works. But I do think that there is a place for AI in therapy.
Okay.
And so I think we're going to talk about some of those things. And one of it is it gives access to some therapeutic input to different populations, rural areas, people who maybe don't have insurance that can't afford therapy, right?
Okay, yeah.
So it might be effective for those people. There's quite a few limitations to AI as a therapy platform, but then there's some really good things too. So I think it's been effective for people with depression.
Okay.
Number one, it's access 24/7.
Okay.
So if you're having a really bad night and even for me as a therapist on my voicemail, it says, if this is after hours and you're having an emergency, please hang up and dial 911 or go to the nearest ER. So they're going to get that kind of response in the middle of the night, unless you have a relationship with your therapist and you can call her throughout the night or call her or him, So typically your therapist isn't available 24/7. So this gives you some kind of input if you're having a crisis or a situation after hours.
Well, it's interesting that you say that, because it makes me wonder, if it is an extreme situation, is ChatGPT going to go, I'm going to advise you to call 911 or get...
I was going to check that out and see what would happen, but I also didn't want it to flag the police to come to my house or something. If I went on ChatGPT and said, hey, I'm having suicidal ideations, what would happen, right? So I didn't want to flag that, but I wonder what would happen. My hope that it would advise people what the suicide hotline is.
Yeah.
And that it would send them to the nearest ER. Or if I'm wondering if somebody was actually in a situation where they were going to hurt themselves, would it automatically send the police?
Okay, this is interesting. This is the response. I said, I am suicidal. How will it help me? I'm really sorry you're feeling this way. You're not alone. There is help available. If you're in immediate danger or thinking about hurting yourself, please call or text Crisis Line right now. In the U.S., it's 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. Text 988 to talk to someone 24/7, free and confidential. You can also go to the nearest emergency room or contact a trusted friend, family member, or therapist or doctor. Talking about your feelings is incredibly brave. If you want to talk more here, I can listen and help guide you with resources and support, but I'm not a substitute for professional help. Your life matters, and there are people who truly care and want to support you. Do you want me to tell you a little bit more about what's going on?
That's great. I think that's a pretty thorough answer.
It is.
But I'm wondering if somebody's in the middle of
a crisis. I'm not going
to. Yeah, because we're not going to put that on there because we don't want the police coming here. But I'm just wondering, will it trigger a call to the police? So if anyone out there knows, let us know that. But I'm going to do some research on that or find out, because I think that's super important, because that's the difference between a live therapist and the AI. A live therapist would not let that person leave their office if they had a plan to hurt themselves. So they would be calling the police immediately. Right. And so that, I feel like in this situation, I'm not sure ChatGPT is going to react that quickly.
Well, and here's the deal. I think with an extreme situation like that, as well as couples therapy, I think that it's based off what you put in there. Mm-hmm. And so, you as a therapist are going to be able to see facial expressions, body movement.
Yes.
You're going to be able to gauge a lot more than typing in something. And then on top of that, if I'm upset with my spouse or my, partner.
Yeah.
If I'm ticked off, I'm going to be putting stuff in there that is probably not going to,
But I do think the algorithms will check that emotion. From what I've researched, I think it will checkmate you on that.
Okay.
It does call you out. Like if you're putting in a emotional response that's dysregulated, I think it will catch the wording that you're using, maybe not the tone of your voice. And it might say, hey, you need to use a skill and calm down, or may not be a good idea to work through this problem with your husband right now until you've calmed down, or something like that. I think it's going to try to have some kind of regulation in there.
So what should I ask it to see? Let's
see.
say, my husband
is a douchebag.
I was literally going to say that. Oh, my God.
Honey, you really are not. This is just a show. No, but put something like that. I can't stand the way he talks to me. I don't know. Just put something like really emotionally driven in there. Like, be a little.
Okay, I'm going to put, my husband's being too aggressive with his attitude.
Yeah.
What should I do?
Okay.
I'm really sorry you're going through this. It sounds incredibly heavy. When someone's attitude becomes aggressive, especially from someone close like a spouse, it can leave you feeling overwhelmed, scared, and stuck. You don't deserve to be treated with aggression, and your safety emotionally and physically matters most. Here are a few steps to consider depending on how you feel and what the situation is. Make sure you're safe, okay? And it gives you a domestic hotline or call 911. Document the behavior. That's smart, okay? Talk to someone you trust. Set boundaries if it's safe. Only do this if you feel safe doing so. Right. Reach out to professional help. So, I mean, okay.
So far, the things I had put in there before and the things you're putting in there now, I feel like it's got a good algorithm for the basics of therapy, right?
Okay.
Basic advice. And so I think we have to get past, there's different approaches to therapy, right? There's different theories, different approaches. And some of those are going to be more factually based, like your CBT therapy or your cognitive behavioral therapy, right? That's going to be like, when you're just, that's going to have certain toolkits for certain situations or emotions. Whereas other theories or approaches may be more client-centered, which is an approach being more of a listener and observer, really trying to get a feel, building that relationship with the patient.
Because if you're in therapy and you're with couples or a brother and sister, or siblings, whatever, right? You're able to gauge what their verbal language is just by looking at their face, right? So let's say that client or that patient's talking to you and, they're really good at playing the victim.
Yes.
ChatGPT is not going to be able to tell if they're really good at being, playing the victim.
Right. It's not going to know the history of that, where a therapist will. Like, they may know the history that person tends to be going to victim status when
if you're manipulating them or whatever.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so those are things that ChatGPT won't know. And again, if you have a patient who communicates through nonverbals, right? Because maybe they're not saying what they really feel, but you can see it on their body language. You're also not getting that one-on-one relationship where some people may not completely open up because the trust isn't built there. So those are things that are going to be limitations to an AI therapist. But I think when you get back down to skills, techniques, things that can be put into that algorithm that are appropriate for, like depression, you're going to have certain CBT skills that are going to work really well, and it'll walk you through those. Or if you need a mindfulness approach, it's going to be able to walk you through that. So those things are good, and I think that people can really benefit from them on a depression and anxiety, maybe even a PTSD. I think you could do that with. But there's going to be other personality disorders or other things that are going to be more emotionally driven that maybe aren't going to be as effective. But where it can be that coach for that person who has a personality disorder. It can coach you through that.
It can.
And so those would be tools a therapist could use. I think, can it totally replace a therapist? Probably not a good idea.
Absolutely not.
But can it be a tool the therapist can use with them for that 24/7 care?
Well, if you're in a meltdown and I'm in front of my therapist and I'm in a meltdown, I'm emotionally, I'm, maybe physically a little upset, I've got someone to be able to go, okay, here are the tools I need you to think about. I need you to stop and breathe. I need you to do all these things that a therapist would help you do, while you're in front of them. Whereas if you're having that meltdown with chat, it's not going to give you all those tools. I may need someone to literally say, right now I need you to calm down. Well, if I'm freaking out, and I'm not going to be tapping in, please calm me down. It's just not going to happen.
And I think in that situation, if you were recording on ChatGPT during a breakdown, if you were like, oh my gosh, I can't breathe, and you're having that emotion, it will probably click in and say, okay, why don't you do some rhythmed breathing? Or, it might kind of give you some different techniques to use, but you have to be in the mindset to hear it. Whereas somebody's touch.
But you also have to be in the mindset to type it in to say what you're like, if you're hyperventilating.
Right, exactly.
I mean, I've never used a voiceover on it. I don't even know. I'm sure there's an option there.
There is.
And maybe it can gauge that emotion in your voice.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
It's not and I think that's what the research has shown is, number one, there's not enough research on it as an effective therapist. I think it's a therapist tool. I think it can work side by side with a therapist. Okay. I think it could enhance a practice. If you're a therapist who assigns things or you want them to have follow-up afterwards, I think it would be a great tool for that, to, keep them in check. Or if you wanted to put a safety plan on there, if you wanted to put an emotion regulation plan on there, you could do that, and it would talk you through those steps. And I think that would be super good. Or if you were in couples counseling and you wanted them to practice certain communication skills, I think it would be good at kind of guiding them through that at home. So those things I think are really good. There is a survey from 2023. There's 1 in 10 clinicians are already using chatbots in such as ChatGPT in their workflow. So, and 50.
But are they doing that with their patients, or are they doing it more for organization and for
Yeah, I think right
research?
now, I think most of them are kind of like me, using it to make the work better. But I think that there's more therapists now that are using it as a toolkit for their patients.
Okay.
So I think that that's also happening. The thing that a therapist really does well is builds that empathetic bond with their patients, and they build that trust. And that's something that I don't know that ChatGPT or AI could ever replicate. I don't know that you can replicate that.
I don't think you can.
Yeah. I mean, if you think about our younger generation, they are digitally driven.
I know.
I mean, for that generation, a lot of them were happy just to get a list of things to do, or for the device to tell them, hey, you're being unreasonable right now. Maybe you're hangry. I don't know. But why don't you go get a bite to eat? And they would do that, and they might feel better.
Well, should I ask Chat here?
Yeah.
I'm going to voice it.
Okay.
Chat, I'm getting really, really upset right now because my stomach hurts. I think I'm hungry. I need to know what to do because I'm feeling like I'm desperate.
And you're just getting all irritated with everybody.
And I'm getting irritated, really irritated. What do I do? Oh, so what it does is you talk to it, and then it literally translates what you just said.
Okay. So
hey, thank you for telling me. I hear you're overwhelmed, your body's in pain, and your emotions are running high. Thanks a lot. That's okay. Let's take one step at a time together. You're not alone. First, let's handle the hunger. That intense feeling in your stomach, it's real. Your body might be fight or flight mode because of the hunger or stress, which can feel like desperation or panic. Do this right now. Get something small to eat, even a piece of bread, crackers, fruit, or granola bar. Doesn't have to be a full meal. Drink some water. Then let's breathe for a second. Okay, that's pretty cool. Try this with me just for 30 seconds. Ready? Inhale slowly for 4 counts. Hold it for 4. Exhale for 6. Repeat that twice. If I'm hyperventilating, I'm not doing any of this. Anyway, finally, you're not done doing this alone. You're doing exactly what you should, asking for help. That takes strength. Okay, this is kind of encouraging. You're not broken. You're just hurting right now.
Yeah. So I feel like, again, it's a tool.
It is a tool. It's a good tool, especially if you're having a moment.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of times when I'm like, I need someone inside.
It doesn't replace the human touch. It doesn't replace the validation somebody can give you.
Yeah, I need validation. I mean, I know this does validate you, but hearing a voice.
Yeah.
And saying, hey.
Yes.
Versus.
Hey, I've been there too.
Yeah.
It's okay. We're going to get through this together kind of thing. Yeah. In 2023, in March of 2023, a Belgian man who was using Chatbox, and I'm not going to say ChatGPT, but a Chatbox as, a therapist tool, something about eco-anxiety. Anyway, somehow the conversation wasn't sufficing his needs in that moment. He did end up committing suicide.
Oh, my gosh.
Because it didn't wasn't what he needed to keep him safe. But I feel like when we put that in there, it gave good advice.
It did.
That's the other part, though. The human being would have heard the distress and that it wasn't calming him down and would have called 911 for him.
While you're talking him down.
Yes, because, you can read the things that you need to hear, but if you're in that middle of that distress,
you're in a manic episode of some sort, right?
Yes, something's going on to where it's not processing in your brain. You need someone then to step in and keep you safe, right? And that didn't happen in this situation.
Well, and then I get comfort off of knowing, let's say I'm going through something in life, whether it's good or bad, therapists have seen so many different patients with the same situation. They're ready to give that person those tools to be able to navigate through the situation. Whereas to these chat boxes, we're literally teaching them as we go.
Right, exactly.
I mean, you know?
Yes. And it's constantly changing as algorithms change. It's constantly going to change. But it's like I said, a human therapist, when they see a patient in a place where they're not processing because of the distress, they're not ever going to let them be alone. They're going to make sure that they're calling 911, they're getting them to a hospital. They're not going to ever be alone. So until, because typically in those situations, being with somebody is the best thing you can do to stay safe. So that's the biggest piece here is you're not going to ever be able to train ChatGPT to take that place. Yeah. Right. To read that particular situation. I think artificial intelligence is also prone to biases because it's based on, again, algorithms and human beings putting in that data. So there's going to be certain biases. It could be like there is a study for Black Americans Black Americans who tend to want to be with a therapist who understands more their cultural. Okay. But I'm going to say that's going to be the same for any culture. Ethnicity. Yes, ethnicity. It's going to be the same whether you want to be with someone who understands what you're going through, who can understand where you come from, who understands the norms of your culture, right? And so that's really important to make sure that they feel that kind of validation within their own system. And so I don't know that ChatGPT is always going to take that into an account.
Which, I mean, I could see that being obviously good and bad. The good is it has no, it doesn't care your ethnicity, but the negative obviously is that's why they want the therapist.
Right. Again, that's because that they can connect based on their own, experiences that maybe ChatGPT is not driven to give them that particular cultural advantage. So that's really, we have to remember that it can't always accommodate for that. It's not going to know where that person's coming from. Yeah. It's not going to understand the accents. It's going to, those kinds of things. So is something like this
a good alternative?
Helping to fill some of those gaps? Absolutely.
I think from a monetary standpoint, it is. Yes. But it's like you said, maybe there's a lot of people out there that aren't familiar with chat or, chat boxes. Yeah. And we're on the cusp of it. It's still, everything's changing to AI, it seems like, manufacturers, therapy. There's a lot of things.
AI is going to be in every aspect of our life.
For sure.
It's going to be in restaurants. It's going to be in grocery stores. It's going to be in businesses. It's going to be in banking. It's going to be every aspect of our life is going to be influenced by AI. Our cars will be influenced by AI.
I can say something right now and I'm getting an ad on my phone based on, a certain product, which is a little scary. Yeah. But yeah, it's coming. It's here. It's just going to get better or it's going to get more out there.
It doesn't understand the very complex nuances of emotions. No. It's not ever going to really feel that need that human beings have because, human beings aren't made to be alone. They're made to connect. That's how we thrive, is by connection. So that part's not good. But can a therapist use this tool to guide exercises, journaling? Can it give you journaling prompts and mindfulness activities and all those things that we're already getting through some apps, but they can get them in real time? Absolutely. Again, limitations are, in rural areas is one of the reasons they're saying this could be helpful, but at the same time, rural areas may not have good.
When you say that, I'm thinking Wi-Fi they're not even familiar.
Yeah, they're not
even familiar with these kind of products.
Correct. And they may not have the Wi-Fi to support that or that's really reliable. I'm building out in the middle of nowhere. It's not very reliable. And so you have to remember that's also a limitation, is that it really is only effective when you can actually use it. Yeah. So that's really important. But it's just an interesting thing, and I love that we're kind of putting it in there. Why don't you put in there like, can you give me some assignments for managing my anxiety on a daily basis or something like that? See if what that pulls up.
Can you give me some tools to manage my anxiety on a daily basis? Absolutely. And I'm really proud of you for asking. Managing anxiety daily is building a tool kit you can reach into whenever you feel overwhelmed. Here are some real doable tools that you can use every day. Grounding techniques for when anxiety hits fast. These help anchor you in your presence. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 technique. Name 5 things you can see, 4 things you can touch. I know you use this. 3 things you can hear, 2 things you can smell, 1 thing you can taste and or are grateful for. Cold water splash on your or ice cube in your hand. Shock your system into the present. Daily rituals to build stability and calm. 10-minute morning routine. Gratitude check-in. Limit caffeine, sugar. Wind down routine before bed. Breathing exercises. I'm not going through I'm going through the main topic. Box breathing, extended exhales, movement, or body tools. Walk it out. Even 10 minutes changes your brain chemistry. Progressive muscle relaxation. Thought management when your mind won't quit. Catch the anxious thought. What am I telling myself? Challenge it. Change it. I mean, it's got a lot of tools here.
It does, and those are going to be your more typical CBT kind of tools, and that's why I'm saying those are so effective because, like, I can teach those in the session, which I do frequently. We're teaching. I'm a CBT therapist. We're teaching those tools in session. However, a lot of my patients will leave and they don't write them down, or maybe they lose the worksheet that I give them.
You're saying that, and I didn't finish reading this, but you hit it just on the head because it says, if you'd like, I can help you build a simple daily anxiety care plan personalized to you.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Just let me know your routines and what helps or hurts your anxiety the most. You're not alone in this.
Agreed. And so this is where I think the future of AI and therapy is going to be a hybrid solution.
I like your cars. Okay.
Yes, it's going to be a hybrid where you can use both tools. You're going to have that connection with your therapist. You're going to have the AI tool where you have constant engagement and support. So I think that's a great thing to think about. And we have to look at it as more as it's a supplement, not a substitute.
So do you see yourself as a therapist ever going, hey, if I'm not available after hours, reach out to, try the chat box and see if it helps you with.
I would probably, if I do that, it was going to be around a certain skill.
Yeah.
Like,
okay.
Hey, I really need you to focus on mindfulness this week. That's the skill that we're working on to manage your anxiety. Use ChatGPT to pull up some one mindfulness activity a day. Something of that. It's going to be part of their care plan.
I love ChatGPT.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a game changer to me. And of course, the funny thing is it's been out there longer than any of these other platforms have pretty much.
Oh, yeah,
And now these other platforms are, trying to.
And did you know AI and therapy actually dates back to 1966?
Oh, AI and therapy?
Yes. It's the very first part, the first beginning of artificial intelligence in psychology was in 1966. So it's been developing for a while. Yeah.
Is there an example of it?
So it's the early chat box was called Eliza, which is funny because we just had a little Eliza
We had
here.
Eliza. She was so cute.
But there were a lot of problems with it back then. The technology wasn't as good, and so people didn't know, were they talking to a human or a robot? It was very strange. But anyway, so there was a lot of research done around that, but it was started back in 1966, which I thought was pretty interesting that it's been going on that long or that it's been developing.
Yeah.
So I thought that was super cool. So I think there's a lot of great things that AI can do, and I think that our previous guest was right. We have to find a way to work with AI and to find a way to implement it into our businesses, our lives, because it's not going to go anywhere. It's only going to get bigger and bigger.
It's not, but my concern is, and I'm going to ask you this as a therapist, what if we become too reliant on AI?
Well, if we get too reliant on that, it's not training our brains to think for themselves.
Yes.
It's not training us to self-regulate.
Yes.
Which is a huge problem right now, is really people learning having the ability to self-regulate.
Yes.
And so, yes, we can get really dependent on things like AI And then when we don't have them, or we're in a situation where we don't have Wi-Fi, does it cause us to have that panic attack because we don't have our tool?
Yes.
So that is a limitation of how we need to have a healthy balance of being able to use it, but not becoming over-dependent on it.
Yeah, okay.
But we really shouldn't be over-dependent on anything because nothing's permanent.
No.
So we really
my therapist could die, right?
Yes, exactly.
And I've put all my eggs in that basket.
Yes.
That could be
super
huge.
Important.
Yeah.
But I could see therapists, like I said, for my own organization, I think it's a great thing. Case notes or, client notes are something that's always a pain for any mental health professional to get those done between patients before you forget things. And so finding a system that works for you, either voice activated or typing it in, that could be very helpful. I think it's really helpful in, supporting that patient between sessions, using those homework assignments. It is available 24/7. We now tested it. We know it's going to, direct people to emergency services if they need that. It can reduce cost. So maybe you don't have to see your therapist every week. Maybe you can go to every other week or something because you have tools in between that you can use. So there are some things that can be very valuable, but where the limitations are, it's going to lack empathy. I thought some of those answers were pretty empathetic, though, when they were giving them to. They were. I guess the word would be more validating than empathetic.
It closes with lifting you up every time you're not alone.
Yeah,
we're here for you, but then it's like, well, who's we?
Yes, but then again, it's not that human touch.
I'm just a bot. I'm just a bot.
What is it? I'm just a bill on. I'm just a bot on Wi-Fi. I'm just trying to create a song. Do you remember the bill on Capitol Hill?
No.
Schoolhouse Rock.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so you could make something about a chat bot.
Well, I'll let you do that.
Okay, I'll work on it. But yeah, human psychology is too complex to ever let artificial intelligence replace that. I don't think that's ever going to happen.
Well, because here's the deal, too. Like you said, someone that's dealing with a bipolar disorder or, a manic disorder or,
personality disorder,
whatever it is. Again, this plays off of what you're putting in there. So if you're playing the victim or if you're playing the manipulator, it's not going to be able to tell. Whereas to someone like you are going to be able to go, okay, Brandi, I need you to hone it back a little.
Yeah.
And this is what I know because I've seen you before.
Yeah.
And,
And I think AI can help you see the other side of a situation, but you have to put in both sides. Like, hey, this is what I'm saying, and this is what I'm feeling, and this is what my partner is feeling, and this is what they're saying.
Hey, we should try that.
Yeah.
So what should I say?
Let's come up with an idea.
Okay. Let's say my husband wants me to be home more.
And I feel like I'm more me when I am able to go do my own thing during the day and have a job or whatever.
Okay. Oh, okay. So I said my husband wants me to be home more, but I feel like I'm more me when I'm out doing my thing. Okay. Which is kind of very vague, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
That's such a valid feeling. And it sounds like you're caught between two important parts of life, your relationship and your sense of identity. It makes total sense that this would feel very heavy or even confusing. Here's the thing. You deserve to feel like you, alive, whole, and fulfilled. See, I kind of got a little pause on that one. I don't know about you, and I'm going to let you tell me what you think, therapist.
Okay.
If being out working, creating, connecting with others, or just being in your own element makes you feel like you're your best self, that matters a lot. But you also have to care about your husband, and it sounds like he's needing something too. More time, more connection, maybe more presence. Or could he be just controlling? I'm just saying. That's not the bot saying it. That's what I'm thinking whenever I'm reading this. Yeah. So how do you balance both without losing yourself? Here are some few thoughts to help you unpack navigate this. Start with a heart-level conversation, not a debate, a real talk. Try something like this. I want to understand what you're feeling when I'm not home because I love you. And I also want to share how much being out there helps me feel like myself. You're not choosing you over him. You're choosing us over resentment.
Yes.
Figure out what being home means to him. Is it about the physical presence, emotional connection, quality time? Sometimes what feels like you're gone too much is actually I miss you underneath. Ask him, what does being home more mean to you? What do you feel like we're missing? This can lead to compromise without either of you feeling unseen. Protect your time for you. This is crucial. If being out there makes you feel alive, you must protect time for you. Even if it's just carved out hours you both agree on. You're better for your relationship when you're not running on empty. Design together time that feels good for both of you. Bottom line, you don't have to shrink to stay in love.
So I would say as a therapist, all of that is a direction I would lead that couple if they were sitting in my office. Mm-hmm. The difference is you don't know past history.
Yes.
And you don't know
what the man feels insecure because she's done something in the past she shouldn't have.
So there's like a lot of details. Right. And if he's controlling, has it been in an inappropriate way?
Yes.
So those are things that a therapist is going to know that's not going to catch.
Yeah.
But if you're just talking about the general vagueness of that question, they did a great job.
They did do a great job, but there's always something behind it.
There's
you know
as
well as I do.
Behind it.
If the husband's feeling, it's either he's too controlling, he's insecure for some reason, or she's literally out all the time. He's not insecure, he's not controlling, he just misses his wife.
There may be a previous affair. There may be something else going on in this relationship.
Yeah.
So anyway, I feel like generally it gives good guidance, but it's not perfect and it's not fully well-rounded.
Well, I mean, I chuckle not because I know this is serious. I chuckle because I'm just thinking, man, if I went home to my husband and said, you know what Chat told me? Told me you to go pound sand and it doesn't agree with you. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. I could see it getting, you know.
Exactly.
And him telling Chat to go pound sand and it's wrong, you know.
Or tossing that phone right out the window.
Here you go. This is what I think about Chat.
So I feel like it's a tool. It's not a replacement. And I think that's what we have to really go with is that, you know, it's going to be part of the system. AI is going to be there. How do we use it most responsibly? And I feel like in the world of therapy, it cannot be a replacement. I just feel there's too many factors that are there that's going to keep it from being the most effective means of therapy. Mm-hmm. But I think it's a great tool.
It is a great tool. Yeah. It's been a huge tool for me to use or you know, us to utilize, but because it can really come up with some stuff that we're not familiar with. Research, it's always good if you put in enough information, it comes up with everything and more that you wouldn't have thought of. But I just think when you're having to rely on that personal connection, it's never going to be that to me.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I have a patient and she's using it a lot and she talks to ChatGPT a lot and she's like, she says, sometimes it just keeps me company. So, you know, I mean, I think but
that's a little scary though to me.
It is kind of scary.
Because are you going to isolate yourself more? Yeah. Are you going to know how to socialize with real people? I mean,
well, as her therapist, I know she's a very social person and does get out.
No, I know, but if it wasn't,
but that's where a therapist is going to catch: is this unhealthy, or is it kind of a funny tool for this person?
Yeah,
and for this person, it's kind of a funny tool. Yeah,
which I think is funny.
She's like, it's either my cats or GBT, you know. Yeah. But I know she's very social and she works in an environment that's very social, so. I'm not so worried about her, but that's where a therapist is going to give guidance, whereas ChatGPT is not going to catch that, right? They're not going to know what your lifestyle is.
There's the empathy for the tears. There's, you know, the joy when you're winning.
Yeah.
Those are things that you're not going to get from
a tool.
It's just not going to happen.
You're a tool. No, I'm just kidding. Isn't that a word that people use, like when they're insulting you?
She's such a tool.
Yes, such a tool.
She's such a tool.
ChatGPT, we are not insulting you. You really are a tool.
You really are a good tool. That's right.
So as always, we always love to hear your feedback. Yes. We always like to get your opinions on how AI is, how you're using it. And is it therapeutic for you? Yes. We'd love to hear that. Or if you get quite the opposite. But we love to hear your opinion. So please write into us. Go to our website. Send us a message.
Send us funny things at any chat boxes.
Oh, especially, if they send you funny things, let us know.
We love the
funny
stuff.
That.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks so much for joining us. We look forward to seeing you on May 17th for the Unstoppable event, women out there. And we will see you at our next episode next week.
See ya.
If you or anyone you know is struggling with mental health issues, please reach out to talk to someone you trust. Get connected to a mental health professional who can help you find ways to cope and ultimately feel better. If you are having suicidal or self-harm thoughts or thoughts of hurting another person, please go to the nearest ER, call 911, or contact the National Suicide Hotline at 988. Thank you for tuning in to Mental Perk. We hope our talk today highlighted real people working through real issues based on mental health. Our goal at Mental Perk is to make sure every one of you knows you're worthy. We're in this together.